Today I found in my Double Masters booster pack a card called Force of Negation. And this card could be a cancel, but if it's not your turn you may exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay this mana spell cost. So that means that you can play a counterspell for free, and that is insanely powerful. And we see the same in the art for Boss God as well, because there are two types of counterspells. There are these that require a lot of effort. These people are skilled with their counters. And there are ones like this, like Force of Negation, where the caster stands with her arms crossed and isn't really faced by all the thunderbolts coming in at all. And today this sparked me because also we have already done a deep dive on mana drain. It sparked me to look into the art of these cards, because this is a beautiful example of where the blues and the reds are really mingling, and these counterspells are often a battle between blue and red being the aggressor and then blue being the one to stop all that aggression. So let's look into it. Because usually the counter magic costs less effort than the attack itself. So in this case, for example, you see from Kaya Montero that someone has thrown a whole flaming hammer and someone else is just countering it by putting up a small shield while they put on a little rock symbol as well with their hands. So you can see that it is not a lot of effort, but they do need a keen reaction time. They do need to know when to cast their counterspell, much like we do. This allows us the same sort of thing with Baral showing us just one swipe, but it is a precise swipe, so this still takes effort. It still takes precision and skill. And then there are these types of arts where we get to the point where it costs less effort. Maybe the caster is really strong, or maybe it is just not too much that they are sort of countering, or maybe they already had a barrier in place like we see here. And sometimes it does take a lot of effort, but it doesn't initially. So here we see someone taking up a pact with probably a demon to stop the pain from hell hurting them. But later they will have to pay a price. If you know where this art is from, let me know. Then there's one other way in which we can counter spells, which is to defeat our opponents before they can do that. Before they can cast their spells. And we see it here, for example, a little bit maniacal maybe. But this seems like a very non-blue way to counter a spell, but still it is a way. We see it here too. This is an enchantment actually, so that is pretty rare. But yeah, you don't always have to cast spells to counter other spells. You can also just already have your machinations into play, like standing on a balancing board, both of you, and then pushing them off, which makes it less blue. But there are more kinds of counters, and here we see one interesting one with Swan Song. Why is this interesting? Because why would a swan be countering your spell? Well, that might be because in this case someone is really bewildered, or they are looking at this flight of the swan and they are confused. They are unsure of what to do, and therefore their spell fizzles. And there are weirder ways. This is another version of Swan Song, actually. And yeah, you wouldn't say that it's a magic card, but this is just a swan. And apparently when you look at it, you would be so confused that you won't be able to cast your spell. But that seems like a more blue way to counter a spell than the actual Forces of Negation that we often see in barriers and stuff like that. And maybe that is blue, but when we are seeing someone blasting someone else, that doesn't really seem blue. Well, a literal swan that is distracting someone does feel really like the blue identity. And here we see Days, which is, I think, a beautiful depiction of all those Egyptian birds that are really dazing someone into not being able to act, and that's really stopping them. And here I think is the maybe even magnus opus of Counterspells, because we see here we see their eyes mostly and their essence. So this is a card from Theros, and you can see that these sort of star-like water droplets are leaving their eyes. They're crying, of course. They're seeing something that hurts them. But this essence is leaving their eyes because they see something that really hurts them. And what hurts them, we can see here when we look deeply in their eyes, is these chains come from the underworld. So either they realize that they are dead, which might be a little bit back, but perhaps they are just realizing a sort of memory. Perhaps they are wishing they were alive more than realizing they are dead, or maybe they are wishing someone else is alive and they can't act because of it. They can only wish. And I think that wishing is the ultimate blue part here. But if there is any kind of force of negation that does fit blue, I think that will be this kind. Because it shows us someone that is strong, it shows us someone that is sort of dismissive about all of that anger around them. And it's not like they don't care, it's just that they feel safe and they have built this environment in which they can be safe. So I think that is the way to do it if you are going to do it with a sort of forceful piece of art.